Hello there, Baconites. That's right, I did say Baconites. Welcome once again to another edition of the Bellingham Anime Convention minicasts. This one is going to be the second minicast, and from here on out, we're actually going to have a consistent schedule. I know that the past minicast has sort of been up and down and all over the place. Actually, as I said, this is only the second one, so they have been all over the place a little bit. From now on, they're going to be released on the 11th and the 21st of every month, with the primary hour-long podcast released on the 1st of every month. So hopefully a consistent schedule is going to be able to keep things flowing nicely. You guys are going to like it. I'm going to like it. Everybody's going to be happy. I do have to remind you, it's not necessarily a rule, but I do have to remind everybody that any views or opinions expressed in the Bellingham Anime Convention minicasts do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Bellingham Anime Convention as a whole and are simply the opinions of myself, the host, Jeremy, hello, and hopefully that way, if I say anything that seems wrong to you, don't take it out in the convention, don't boycott the convention, boycott me instead, boycott, the podcast, which I hope you don't end up doing. I hope I don't do anything wrong, but in the event that I do, please don't be mad at the convention or the convention staff. Just be mad at myself. Anyways, real quick convention news. Artist Alley, I think we mentioned before, but that's gonzo. It's closed. We're done. We got a lot of submissions in a very short amount of time. I am super excited to see all of the art guests that are going to be there. We're going to have so many. They're going to be so great. So many cool people are going to be there showcasing off their prints, their keychains, their hats, and knitting, I don't know, felting. There's a lot of really cool stuff, and I know that you guys are going to greatly enjoy it. I'm going to greatly enjoy having these people around, so look forward to that. Panelist applications now open. So if you didn't know that, panelist applications are now open for BayCon 2017. Head on over to our website, BellinghamAnimeCon.com, and start going through it. Also, a quick reminder, if you weren't able to figure out how to do the character creation, which is our registration, there's an instructional video attached to the front page of our website. So if you don't quite understand how to do it, go ahead, check out that video that's embedded on the on the main page of the news. On top of that, I would like to remind everybody that we have an AMV contest, and we have had no submissions. There's going to be really cool prizes for the winners, so make sure that you get those AMVs in. They can be anything. It could be video games, it could be anime. We're hoping to kind of go for, if it's going to be video game, we're hoping it's more RPG, but if you want to make a video game AMV, go ahead, make an anime AMV, set it to any music that you want, as long as it's age appropriate, as long as we can play it in our venue without getting in trouble. So use clean versions of songs. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. If DMX can release a clean version of X Gonna Give It To You, I'm pretty sure you can find a clean version of whatever song you want to do. And if not, there's quite a few editing programs. Just cut out the word if you have to. I've known some people who have done it, or just, they'll put in a little bing, when somebody goes to cuss. That's always fun. That actually makes the AMV more interesting. Though, admittedly, you may get a few more laughs than you're intending if maybe you're going for something a bit serious and all of a sudden it's like, I'm a mother, bing! No, that's too funny to me, at least. Anyways, the convention is shaping up to be fantastic. Pre-registration is going to be closing very soon as well. So you guys, if you haven't pre-registered, make sure you go in, get that stuff checked out. Go to the website and register your character. I know it can be a little bit confusing, but we do have the video on the main page. Just scroll down as soon as you get to BellinghamAnimeCon.com, scroll down and you'll see a video right there. Click on that. It'll load up a page from Vimeo. Watch the video. It's entertaining. It's fun. It introduces you to a brand new character that we're introducing at BayCon this year, Carl. So it'll be super great, and I just want everybody to have fun with it. Of course, we're not the only convention that's coming up real soon. SoccerCon is coming up in April, which, very, very close now. April 14th to the 16th, SoccerCon at the Washington State Convention Center in Seattle. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be attending yet, but I really, really hope so. It's going to be a lot of fun. I guarantee that. But there's going to be so many cool things that are going to happen, like they do every year. I'm kind of excited for the guest list, though. There's only one that many people probably will recognize, and that's Todd Haberkorn. I feel like Todd Haberkorn's been to the past several SoccerCons. He's the voice of the twins, or at least one of the twins from Oran High School Host Club. He voiced Italy, I believe, in Hitalia. I know that he voiced Haruka in Free. The one guest at SoccerCon this year that I am most excited for is the man himself, Gen Urobuchi, which, if you don't know, he's a writer for a lot of stuff and director for a lot of stuff. He actually directed Puello Magi Madoka Magica, which, if you don't know, was super dark. He also directed one of my surprisingly favorite Kamen Rider series, Kamen Rider Gaim, which, if you don't know a lot about Kamen Rider, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, but Kamen Rider, kind of like Power Rangers, a little bit, not quite, made by the same company or the same production company that makes Super Sentai, which is what's adapted into Power Rangers when it comes over to the US. Kamen Rider has all sorts of weird themes, and sometimes you're like, oh man, that's super cool, and other times you go, that's really lame. For example, the 2015-2016 season was called Kamen Rider Ghost, which literally one of the first things that happens in the show is the main character dies. And, like he's impaled through the chest. And so you're like, whoa, this is going places that we didn't expect. And it's got really great character design. The costumes are super cool. But the story was really lacking and subpar. Then you have Kamen Rider Gaim, which was directed by Gen Urobuchi, which the theme is literally fruit samurai. They're samurai, and a giant metal fruit descends from the sky and forms armor on their shoulders, chest, and face. And it's one of the darkest, most serious series I've encountered in Kamen Rider. Now, I haven't watched a whole lot of Kamen Rider. I've only seen a couple of seasons. But my god, that blew my mind. So, if I go, I definitely want to meet Gen, if at all possible. But I'm not sure if I'm going. So, if anybody has a spare room for me, I'll pay. That's my concern right now, is not knowing if I'll be able to get a hotel room myself. But I am totally down for sharing a hotel room with somebody else. In anime news, I don't know how many people... This is not necessarily new news. It's a bit of an older piece of news. But there was a third season of Code Geass announced, which I heard about this last year, like last summer, and I'm still sort of reeling from it. If you never watched Code Geass, I highly recommend it. It was super, super good. It came out in 2009, maybe? I want to say 2008, maybe even a little bit earlier. It was super great, and it ended on such a wonderful note. I won't give out any spoilers, but it had the perfect ending. And for some reason, there's a third season coming out, and it's like Sunshine's really trying to milk it, I guess, but you'd think they'd have a lot of money considering Sunshine Animation is the company that makes Love Live. And I'll tell you, I was in Uwajimaya in Seattle a couple weeks ago, and I found that there's an entire shelf full of Love Live CDs, and it's only about 3 songs per CD, and they're about $12 each. I was very tempted to pick up a few before I remembered, oh yeah, I can just get these anywhere. But it was a very odd experience to see a whole shelf full of Love Live CDs. I was very excited. Anyways, there's not a huge amount of stuff that I wanted to talk about in anime news. If you probably already know, Blue Exorcist Season 2 is currently airing, If you didn't know that, Blue Exorcist Season 2 is currently airing. It's a very wonderful series. I highly recommend it. Of course, in anime news, we also have the official first trailer for the Neko Atsume movie. That's exciting. Video game adaptations are usually horrible. I don't know if they could really make a bad Neko Atsume movie because it's literally just a movie about a guy collecting cats. The premise of the film is essentially the main character is an author who moves to the countryside to get away from all the noise of the city so he can actually go and write a book when eventually a cute cat, and I cannot stress enough that the description specifically says cute cat, shows up at his house and he gives it some food, and he's enamored with it, and then it leaves and he goes back to work, and then eventually more cats start showing up and he starts putting out more toys and basically making his house a cat sanctuary type thing. So I don't think there's any way that they could make that movie bad. I will be very disappointed if they do, but I'm super hopeful that it's going to be amazing. Honestly, it's probably not going to get a Western release. The DVD will probably come out. Maybe. We'll see. There's probably going to be fan subs that are up very quickly because I'm sure that there's a lot of people who are super excited about this movie. Obviously, Ghost in the Shell is also coming out. They just released a new trailer for that. Still kind of on the fence about it because Ghost in the Shell is so deeply rooted in being Japanese, and there's not a whole lot of Japanese people. And now Scarlett Johansson has specifically mentioned that there actually is a lot of diversity in the cast. I'd have to go through their IMDb page to sort of figure that out myself. I would suggest you do the same before coming to a huge conclusion, but the general consensus seems to be this movie kind of seems a little racist. And again, that's not a fact. That's not written down in blood and ink on paper, but a lot of people tend to think that it's a little bit not great, especially considering that the producers tried to actually stretch Scarlett Johansson's eyes to make her look Asian and change her skin color. That wasn't great. Also today, the day that I'm recording this, I saw Funimation had released a trailer for an English dubbed version of a live action Black Butler movie. Now, I didn't even know that there was a live action Black Butler movie. I've seen the first 2 seasons of Black Butler and I loved them. They were great. My cousin gave me Black Butler on DVD for my 17th or 18th birthday, and I loved it. So seeing that there was a live action movie, immediately I was like, that might be kind of cool. Then you watch it, and of course, the English dub, I wouldn't bother with the English dub, but the thing is, it looks like it takes place more in modern day, but they're still wearing Victorian dress, and they've changed the story completely. They've changed the names of characters. I don't understand why. And then I was reading the comments, and some people had said that they'd seen it when it wasn't dubbed. They'd seen the raw, and that it was not good. So I'm not interested in seeing it, but I'm going to report that it exists because that's part of my job, is to tell you the things that I find out about. If you knew about it, great. I'm really slow on the uptake sometimes. Hopefully, I was going to say hopefully you don't know this, but you probably do. We're shifting now. We're shifting from anime to video game news. For Honor was just released on Valentine's Day, and that's... I've seen a little bit of gameplay of it. I had a friend up from California, and he was playing it while he was up here. He definitely seemed to enjoy the experience. It didn't look like my type of game. Now, if you're not sure what For Honor is, it's an entirely online combat game, but it's not your Call of Duty style combat game. For Honor is, instead of being a first-person shooter, it is a third-person melee combat game, which essentially means that you get to play as one of 3 groups. You get to play as European Crusader Knights, friggin' Japanese samurai, or Vikings. And they've been fighting each other for like hundreds of years or something, and there's a Black Knight who every single time they're about to reconcile, they're like, oh man, why are we fighting? The Black Knight will just come by and like kill one of them, and then they'll all start fighting again for some reason, or something like that. So that's the premise of the game. I think it has some story, but it's probably kind of like Overwatch in that there's a story, but it's never really talked about ever. Maybe there'll be some third party material. I don't know. Again, I'm not super interested in it. I'm not excited for it because it's not my style of game. But I still think that, I mean, it's big. A lot of people played the beta, that's for sure. So if you're interested in that, go check out For Honor, I guess. That's $60 right now for console. I don't know how much it would be for PC. I'm not a PC player. But that just came out last week. Yeah, last week. So go ahead, check that out if you're interested. Other than that, I'm pretty sure Horizon Zero Dawn comes out very soon too. Horizon Zero Dawn looks to be amazing. I've read that it plays very similarly to The Last of Us, which was a very fun game, except instead of it being you can't find ammo and you have to sneak around or you'll die every 3 seconds, because that's what The Last of Us was like. It's more of a sort of cyberpunk dystopian future, almost not quite Deus Exy though. It's more like robots are wandering in the wild and you play as a I don't know. I watched the trailer, the gameplay. It looks fantastic. I'm not spoiling myself, but it looks amazing and I cannot wait to play it. It I highly recommend looking it up because it's going to be amazing. Another thing that happened, we're shifting very, very slightly. The latest trailer for the Power Rangers movie came out. The reason I'm excited for this, I'm a huge Power Rangers fan. I've always been a huge Power Rangers fan. So the fact that this is coming out is muy muy bueno for me. But on top of that, Toy Fair was this week as well. And if you don't know what Toy Fair is, it's essentially where all the big companies come out. That's Lego, that's Mattel, that's Hasbro, that's all the big toy companies and all the ones that I can't name. Funko being a really big contender this year. And they all show up in New York and they put their toys down and they say, this is what's coming out this year. And a lot of times it's not finished products, a lot of times it's prototypes, and you're allowed to take pictures and videos of most of them. Sometimes they say don't do it because it's very secretive or it's very spoilery. For example, Lego, which just announced they're releasing a Lego Ninjago movie, put up a sign that said don't take pictures of the sets because that's going to be spoilers for the movie, and we don't want these reaching the public yet. But I mean, that was the only section that I'm aware of that Lego blocked off because you could take pictures of the new Star Wars set that they had coming out and the new Nexo Knights and this and that. And of course, Funko had a really big presence there. As I said, they were showing off their new Nickelodeon pops and things like that. Their Guardians of the Galaxy pops, which are coming out very soon. And then Hasbro also, or Bandai, sorry, not Hasbro, Bandai had a really, really big presence because of Power Rangers. That's actually why, or partially why I brought it up. They had all kinds of toys available to show off, all sorts of things that were really, really cool. Even if you're not a super big Power Rangers fan, the things that they had were super cool. There was one thing, and I'm a big Power Rangers fan, and there was a toy. A couple of years ago, they started releasing a line that they referred to as the Legacy line, which is actually toys made specifically for adults based on these things. So those were larger sized versions of the weapons and things like that you would find if you were a child. You know, if you were 5 years old when Mighty Morphin Power Rangers came out, you bought the sword that was your size. Now they released the swords for adults because it's been 20 years. So now they got 25 and 30-year-olds. Those people are going to be wanting to collect these things. So they released the swords and the weapons and the Megazords and the figures and blah 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 blah. And there was a couple months ago, they were announcing that the Red Ranger's Power Sword was going to be available for $75. So of course lots of people jumped on that. Of course they're going to pay $75. It's a super cool sword. It's the legacy, you know. It's super important to a lot of people. It was on display at Toy-Con with a price tag of $150. So apparently that $75 price tag, and if you pre-ordered it, to my knowledge, you were locked in at that price. If you paid it all off, you weren't paying a single cent more. A lot of people didn't pre-order it. Now they have to pay twice as much. Now I'm not 100% sure why that price skyrocketed to twice the amount, but whatever. we're going to shift real quick because we only got a couple minutes left. We're going to shift right on back to Baycon. We are still looking for volunteers to help out at Baycon. Go over to BellinghamAnimeCon.com and make sure to check out our volunteer page. If you want to, you get in for free, but you do have to help around the con. There's also going to be volunteer training starting in either March or very early April. We're going to be training you on how to do the tasks that you're going to be assigned to do, and that way we're not going to feel understaffed. You're still going to have a lot of fun. You're not going to be required to do a whole lot. We're not asking you to run the con for us. We're simply asking for a little bit of help. And again, you get in for free if you do this. So that's a big bonus for you. We're also looking for members to participate in the street team. This is basically an advertisement around Bellingham and local areas for the convention. If you'd like, even if you don't want to be part of street team, if you know some places that would be great for putting up flyers, go ahead and send us an email at bellinghamanime@gmail.com or speak to Jen at the library any chance you get at ToshoCon, Anime Night, etc. Try and get some flyers from her if you know some good places to put them up. Now, we're not saying go flyering off by yourself, but if you want maybe one or two flyers, maybe you want to put one up at a school or you want to put one up at a specific location that you don't think that we would have hit, maybe it's a smaller location but you think that it's going to get enough attention, go ahead and take one. We're going to be expanding as well our flyering. Last year we primarily only did flyering downtown. We're going to be flyering around more of Bellingham, as well as flyering around Linden, Fairhaven, and places just around there. Hopefully, we're going to attract even more attention. Be sure also to advertise as much as possible. Tell all of your friends, post in all of your favorite anime groups. If you want, go to Reddit, go to Facebook, go to Tumblr, Twitter, wherever you want. Make sure to tell people about us, because the more people that we get, the better of a con experience you're going to have. I'd also like to remind you that we do have 2 guests this year. Raj Ramaya, the guy who did the music for Cowboy Bebop, that's still super duper exciting, as well as Matthew Erickson, the voice of Trunks from Dragon Ball GT. He was also in a couple of other things, but that's the one I specifically know, so that's the one I'm going to say. But those 2 are going to be there. Raj Ramaya is going to be having us... He's going to have CDs available for you guys. So you guys can get some of Raj Ramaya's CDs. He's worked with a couple different music producers. He works in a couple different smaller kind of band operations. And obviously, there's just all kinds of really cool stuff. We're going to have panels. We're going to have artists. We're going to have all kinds of vendors. We have 3 buildings, guys. We're not just stuck in one building anymore. We have 3 buildings, as well as the entire outside area that you can wander around in. That's got to be super cool. Anyways, final remarks here. If you're interested in appearing on a Bellingham Anime Podcast or Bellingham Anime Podcast minicast, make sure you send an email to bellinghamanime@gmail.com with the subject line podcast, and I'll make sure to try and get you on the show. You can also send me a personal message on Facebook at Toby Arnez Hartnett, and I'll put that in the description below. If you're interested, totally send me a message. Send the email a message. You can also get in touch with us through the Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram. All 3 of those are Bellingham Anime. So at Bellingham Anime, try and get in touch with us, and I'll put you up in the podcast. Anything like that. It's going to be super cool having anybody here. Also, I don't have to meet you in person. If you're not comfortable meeting in person, or if you don't necessarily have the time to meet in person, that's totally fine. We can also do a Skype interview. I can still get you on the show through Skype. That's no problem at all. Just make sure you send me a message and let me know that that's the only thing you're capable of doing, or you can tell me you're capable of doing either meeting in person or Skype, whatever works. I'm totally down. This is a super great experience for anybody. It's cool for public speaking. It's cool for just getting yourself out there. I want to know more about the community that we work in, and I know a lot of other people do as well. So make sure that you check all of our stuff out at Bellingham Anime, the Facebook page, the Twitter, the Tumblr, the Instagram, all of that. Tag us in things, share things with our pages, comment on our stuff, follow us. It's gonna be great. Anyways, until next time, which will be the 1st of next month, when I will have another fantastic guest in the Bellingham Anime Podcast, I will see you guys later. Bye!